මහතාට ආරාධනා කර සිටිනවා.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. Just to save time, I'll be doing this in English. Right. Now, we are talking about the proposed amendment to come into force in June. Sorry. Right, why are we here? Thank you. There's a claim to increase the tariff by 18.5%. They claim that loss of some 18 billion was made during the first quarter of the year, and also claim that the rainfall was lower, therefore they could not use much hydro, that's why it led to the loss. The questionable accounting system have been talked about here, so that is a very important issue that has to be sorted out. Until you do that one, all these arguments are no use. And primarily, you have to abide by the setup already in place for the method of adjusting the tariff. It's a very clear methodology adopted. You can't ignore that one. And therefore, this claim of covering the cost of the first quarter alone is not according to that methodology. So that can't be accepted. So the principle of recovering the cost is well accepted. There are no argument about that one. But that doesn't mean you can recover any cost. That cost is very definitely has to be efficient and economic cost, and which you all have heard about the principle of least cost economic generation. That is there in words, but they have never been practiced. So therefore, simply because CEB says they have made such a loss and the cost has gone up, doesn't mean that it can be passed on to the consumer unless they can prove very well that they have adopted prudent economic methods that have been already talked about. Now, let's take a look at the history of what happened in the last couple of years. We had 6, I think, changes in the tariff since IMF came and twisted our arms. And what is important to see is that in spite of some reductions, the increases have been massive. Therefore, we are still paying a much higher tariff than what we used to. So that's something to be taken into account. Also, the more important thing is, you will notice that I put the table, every time the CEB asks for a tariff increase, massive amounts, PUC itself quite rightly went through the process, and like we are doing today with the public consultation also, offered what was considered reasonable at that time based on the verified data. So that way, when they wanted 229% increase, they were given 75. Next time, of course, they were given the 66 that they claimed. And also, on the other hand, when there was a reduction also, what CEB offered was very minute reduction, but PUCSL offered something better. So by doing that, like this, we have maintained some degree of fairness, I must say. But the most important thing to realize is, even in spite of the CEB getting much less than what they claimed as increase, or being asked to reduce more than what they said they could do, they continue to make profits. So that is itself the good enough reason to doubt very much what is the numbers that are being presented. So when they say that you want 225% increase and they give us 75%, but then in spite of that, they made very substantial profits. Now there's a question Mr. Abhigunawardena also raised about what happened to those profits. Those are belong to the people. So there's an issue on that one also not being accounted properly. So that's something else that PUCSL have to take into account. So therefore, there is no reason to accept that the present set of accounts that have been given to us and based on which they are claiming this increase is accurate. costs. And Mr. Vatawala quite rightly mentioned all that, but it has never been done. Cost accounting has never been done. So unless you do that one, these numbers being thrown about cannot be accepted. So many people, including Mr. Abegunadana, has been publishing data on this one, pointing out these differences. So that is a very relevant issue. Now, why is this cost high? And what is the most economical cost of generation? Now, this table what I am showing is actual data from CEB. It very clearly says that fossil fuel based generation is 66% higher than renewables. That's well known all over the world, and CEB also doesn't dare to say no, because their own data shows that it's to be different. So what do you think of? Any reasonable person must look for ways and means of increasing that contribution from the renewables. You see, this data is the same for year 24 also. But instead of that one, like what the earlier gentleman mentioned, is there's a severe attempt trying to knock down the renewables completely. Instead of saying that we should be enhancing that one, just to cover the incompetence and also lack of consideration of what should be done. So they are very brave attempt to try and knock down the renewables. Now, Mr. Vatawal mentioned also, if you get rid of oil, the problem is nearly solved. I just did these numbers again using the same data provided by CEB. If you stop using oil, let the coal be. We can save 113 billion a year. So that means immediately you can give a 7 rupee reduction in cost. So these are very simple numbers. So why are we not doing that? Instead of which, they are trying to reduce the tariff given to the renewables and various other means of sabotaging and also destroying that industry. Therefore, we are going to be in bigger trouble. Now this gap of reducing oil can be easily be provided by renewables. I will not go into details of that one, very easily will be done. And also, fact of the matter is, we have already done that. We have quite a number of days we have made in use a drop of oil. Even for the 1st of June, there was no oil use. So why aren't we doing that throughout the year? You see? So there is no excuse at all for consumers to pay for the inefficiency of the CEB. They have the right to demand, like Mr. Vatawala mentioned, our Sustainable Development Goals say that we must have affordable, clean energy available for all the people. It is the CEB responsibility to overcome any technical difficulties. That is the whole thing. They don't know how to use the solar that is there, so they are going to curtail solar. That is not acceptable from a government agency which is paid by us, right? So it's also the government responsibility. What Mr. Nasir mentioned, it's a government responsibility to get this management of the system going. So unless you do that one, we will be in trouble. And these are absolutely nothing to do with the IMF. Their blackmailing is not the reason for us to increase our tax. Thank you.